did not want something special to happen, so we made sure that that would happen. So I'm proud to be a lawyer. I'm proud to be associated with each and every one of you. I'm proud to have you as my friends. And Charles Rice, he personified that. He was so special. I was proud to be his friend.
I always thought he was a well-dressed guy. He and Fred Anderson would wear three-piece suits to class, and I thought that was great. But that was Charles, and Charles was always fastidious about the way he kept his office, the way he kept his robes and everything. He used to dry clean my robes at least once a week when I would leave them in his chambers. He and I shared, I would say probably, he didn't know it, but we shared his charge books because we used to do a lot of jury trials, and he kept great jury trial charge books, and so I would take his trial books and I would do a jury trial and I would write in pencil, and it used to make him mad because I would try to erase what I'd written in it after the trial was over. But I never got it clean enough to suit him ever. So he was a great guy, and I'll miss him.
We do honor Charles Kip, Charlie Three Sticks, whatever you want to call him. But in '86, just 5 years later, I came along, and he was one of the first judges that I presented in front of. And he took me under his wing a little bit. It was really very uplifting, people mind, and a great mentor for not just me, but a whole bunch of other people.
He did more than any other single judge that's ever been here to bring the law fairness that used to, it was just so hard to find. He really, he loved the courts, he loved the system, he loved being a judge. All you had to do was be around him a little bit and you picked up on that pretty quick. He loved it. But Charles was a good guy, and he marched to his own drummer. And but to my way of thinking, he did more to upgrade our court system than any other person that I'm aware of that sat on the bench. And he had a good heart, and he loved this place. He loved the court system, and he loved people. He really did, but he did it in his own way.
He helped us get our feet on the ground, made family law something fun to do, which was a novel thing back then. More people think it's fun now, but not many did then, and Charles helped make it fun. He cared deeply about what he did. He cared deeply about the people that worked with him, and that was a real joy in his life. As much as he loved being on the bench, he loved practicing law too. And he loved those years that he spent with you, Mark. He really did. I miss him terribly. I've missed him since he's sort of been out of sight, because he was wonderful to me as a young lawyer and as a friend for years. I miss him. Thank you.
I loved that family at the courthouse. It was a family. And it was really funny because as times, I came in 1982, and it didn't matter whether you were a defense attorney, whether you were a prosecuting attorney, whether you were the district attorney's office or the bailiffs or the courts. It was like you were kind of all in that together, and you really sort of had each other's back. If you were not in a position to practice during those times when that was the way it was, you missed something, because I was down there 28 and a half years, and that was probably some of the best times in my life. You had to admire the fact that today he was the man, tomorrow he was the man, and the next day he was the same man. It didn't waver for him. He just was what he is. And the thing that was refreshing about that is you knew what you were getting. Good, bad, or indifferent, you knew what you were getting. And so I have to say that when I think back finally on my years in the court system, Charles Rice is a really big part of it because he always had the backs of the clerks.
When my former wife hired him as a child custody lawyer in 1997, I went to the consult, And Rice looked at her and said, "You got a great lawyer." At the time, I don't know why you want to hire me. But if you want to hire me, bring me all this money and go pay your other lawyer and bring me your file and we'll get started. And my job was to pay for it. So I had to go borrow some money so that I could pay to hire Charles Rice. And the next thing I said was, any way to lower the cost on this? He said, "Sure, you can be the paralegal." So I became a paralegal to Charles Rice in 1997 for my wife's custody case. And working with him day in and day out, I said, this is kind of fun. And he said, "Well, why don't you go to law school?" And I said, "Okay," and I did. So that's how I met him. Rice had a smoking porch wherever he went. And some of the best stories in the world were when he was on his smoking porch. And a smoking porch could be anywhere. And in fact, if he was here with us now, since they probably don't allow smoking in here, he'd be right outside with a cigarette, with an entourage, because everybody wanted to be around him to hear his stories. And he would come back from his annual physicals with Dr. Musselwhite frustrated because Dr. Musselwhite was asking him to quit smoking. And Rice, you need to commit to a date by which you will quit smoking. And he would get a big grin on his face, and I remember him coming back in maybe 2007 or 2008, and he said, "Well, told Dr. Musselwhite I would commit to quit smoking." And he made me pick a date. So I picked my birth date, June 25th, 2020. He picked it 12 years out because he didn't want to quit anytime soon. And some of you may not know this, but he actually quit 5 or 6 months before he was diagnosed. And then proceeded to tell me that his oncologist made it clear that smoking had nothing to do with his cancer. And he was serious about that. When I started working for him, he asked me if I hunted. I said no. His mouth dropped, his jaw dropped, and he said, "You cannot be an attorney if you don't know how to hunt. We're going to fix this." And so we started hunting. Above all, Rice was a Christian, great role model for me. He always insisted that we pray before meals. There were times when I, as the business manager, was worried we weren't going to have payroll. And I would go to him and I'd be like, look at my spreadsheet. And he would say, "God gives you your daily bread. And stop worrying about the weekly bread, the monthly bread." And it always came. One Bible verse that was of great significance to Rice, and he had this on his coffee cup, was Isaiah 40-31. "And they shall mount up with wings like eagles, and they shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." His faith was important to him. We had 10 Commandments in our office, and he even gave Bibles to clients that came in. And that's the way I remember Rice. Thank you.